For every photo you save, every video you stream, every AI tool you use daily, they depend on companies like Micron and SanDisk. But why? What is the main thing they have in common?
Memory.
Memory has gone through the roof.
It's a memory story, an inflation story.
Memory.
Balance for memory.
That is a memory story.
The recent AI boom has seen demand in the memory sector explode. But why is it important now? And to be honest, why should I care about this? It isn't like these companies are doing something completely new in their market. But what is new is their importance to hyperscalers, or players that are having an impact on this AI race. And what hyperscalers want is to optimize their performance. They've now realized how much memory is needed not only to run their AI models, but also store data that people like you and me need for search, chat, and to speak to it however we please. So yeah, that's a big part as to why we should care. So let's look at each player. For Micron, they're in a unique position in that they were early to market with the tech that these hyperscalers are in demand for, the HBM4. To keep it clean, what this memory chip does is essentially allow AI chips to think faster by moving large amounts of data in and out of the GPU at extreme speed. And by 2033, it's set to be a $16 billion market. With HBM4 being the next iteration to usher in a new segment for the market, 3 companies basically control the game: SK Hynix, Samsung, and Micron. The previous version saw them look like this, but now that HBM4 is out, it looks kind of like this. SK Hynix already has long-term relationships with many of the top hyperscalers. With them having the majority of the market share, it'll be hard for the other comp to chip away that lead. Then there's Samsung, which was technically late to get this chip to market, but eventually did. Now, I don't want to get deep into it, but Samsung claimed that they were the first to market to mass produce and ship out the HBM4 chips in early 2026. But there's been proof that Micron has had early iterations in late 2025. But again, I'm not the expert. But the point is, Samsung is second and Micron is third. Now, the reason why there's so much hype behind Micron is because of scarcity. And a perfect example of this is the product NVIDIA plans on releasing this year. See, the Rubin packs a bunch of GPUs together in order to function, and each cube needs a wall of HBM4 stacks around it. Now, stick with me here because I want to get this right. See, even if NVIDIA decides to make these chips, it can't fit full Rubin cubes without HBM4 being fully attached. That's where these companies come in as full suppliers, including Micron. So when Micron says their entire HBM4 capacity is sold out for 2026, it means there's nothing hyperscalers can do at the moment except wait. That's the narrative with Micron, and that's what investors are paying for. Now, obviously there's more to the story than that, but I wanted to veer off into talking about SanDisk. Now, SanDisk's story is a lot more simpler than Micron's. Originally a subset of Western Digital, it split a few years back and it became its own entity. This one move shifted SanDisk's trajectory in the market, and it made the story clear for people, especially investors. See, when SanDisk was inside Western Digital, investors couldn't really see the value in the tech that they have, which was NAND flash. And NAND is a type of non-volatile memory. For a less techie definition, what it does is it stores your data without needing any power, sort of like your SSD card or your hard drive. So now that SanDisk is its own thing, its own company, it's clear to investors. SanDisk is a pure play NAND company, meaning most of its revenue comes from NAND storage devices like SSDs, storage cards, and enterprise flashes. And just like Micron, there's a shortage of NAND that caused a surge in prices. Suppliers like SanDisk is basically having pricing power. They can allocate the limited drives to the highest paying customer, making them have massive profit growth. And that is what investors are drawn to from SanDisk. Now, people are under the assumption that both companies might bust. But what that means is that the memory sector, might be saturated in products. It's happened before in recent times, and it's the reason why people are still skeptical about them. Because at any moment, hyperscalers can just pull the plug and stop putting in orders for chips, causing the sector to overproduce more than they needed to. And that'll put SanDisk and Micron in another boom and bust cycle, causing a catastrophe. So where does that leave the consumer? Well, I would say 2 things. If you're using an AI tool or these chatbots and you notice there isn't any lagging, then that probably could mean there's more than enough memory and storage at these data centers for your needs. Or if you're trying to buy some storage for a device you have and you notice that the price is higher than it normally would be, then chances are there's still a shortage going on. Well, that's my take on the memory sector. Comment below and let me know your thoughts. All right, later.